Hey guys, so let's see today how we can use lists in Scratch. So first let's create a setting where we have different sprites and they all use different applications of the list. So first I'm just gonna create a backdrop. I'll just go to backdrop and choose a good one. I'll choose two backdrops, one for just showcasing the list and the other one which is gonna be an ending sequence. I'll go here and I'll add another one. Let's just choose any random one. Okay, so this is currently our backdrop, and we'll go to this one when we end the code, and let's see how we can do that. So first things first, I'll just go through the backdrops code. This is not the sprites code. The sprites code is this, but this is the backdrops code. And here I'm just gonna set few things. So first, because we're using lists, I'll just create my list. Let's call this list one. I may or may not use different lists, and this is the list that we have over here. So what I'm gonna do is at the start in the background when the green flag is clicked, I'll just enlarge this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set all my lists to default so that at the start of the program I don't have any problems. So I'll just delete all in list one. So this will just make it blank even if it's filled. When I open the program and click the green flag again, it's going to be blank. I'll add another thing because in this list I'm going to be using some random numbers. I'll just fill my list now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the repeat block. Uh, I'm going to add 25 numbers here, and those 25 numbers are going to be random numbers. So I'm just going to use the add block to add an item to the list. And the item that I'm going to be adding is the random block. We can pick any number, any two numbers here. I'll just pick 10 and 100. I'm going to be adding 25 random numbers in this block. So when I do this, this list is going to be filled with 25 random numbers, as you guys can see. Um, so yeah, that's it. I just know this. I'm gonna be adding 5 sprites over here, and I want them to show up when the green flag is clicked. I'll be hiding them before that. So first, let's choose some appropriate sprites. As it's water themed, I'll just delete the sprite first. So let's see if we have 5 water animals. So one, okay, two. I think I saw a whale over here somewhere. Yeah, let's add this. You don't see this every day. Okay, and the scales are fine. And I just want to hide them. So you just go to a sprite and just click on this button, and that just hides all of them like this. So you've hidden all the sprites, and now what I want them to do is like when the green flag is clicked, I just want them to show and move around randomly because they're water creatures. They should be like just moving around in the water. So when the green flag is clicked, which is this block, I just want them to show, and I'll go to motion and I'll go to random position, and I'll just put a wait block in so that they do this every 1 second. So they move like really slowly, and I'll use a sensing tool for when the sprite is clicked. When my sprite will be touched by the mouse, they stop, and then when I click them, they're going to be doing what we want them to do. So we kind of do this code for like every sprite, like this. Just make sure the mouse is outside the screen so they keep moving and don't randomly hit the mouse pointer. I'll just have it. Okay, so finally got it done for all the 5 sprites, and now I'll just show how it looks when we run it. So they're gonna appear and they randomly move in different positions. If I just point at one, so this one stops, and this one stops, and so on. So you can just point at one and then make it do whatever you want. So now let's start doing things with different sprites. So let's have the first sprite find the smallest or the largest. Let's do both from the given list. Okay, so we have to create a variable. I'm going to be calling it count and I'm going to be using it everywhere. This is basically to go through the entire list all the time, and I'm going to be using this 5 times. It's going to be going through the list in ascending order. You can see count over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the numbers in the list one by one and find which one is the largest. For largest, I'm going to make another variable called max, which is gonna store the largest number in the list. So first, what we do is we're gonna have when the sprite is clicked block, because we're gonna stop the sprite and click on it, and I'm gonna set these two variables to 0 at the beginning. Always set count to 0 in all these codes because it's gonna affect how you're gonna traverse through the list. So let's start like going through the list. We're gonna be using the repeat block for this. So I'm gonna repeat. How many times should I repeat? It's gonna be the length of the list. So there's like two ways of doing this. You can either use repeat until count is equal to the length of the list, or you can repeat. I can show both, and first I'll do with repeat. We're gonna be repeating till the length of the list currently. And we're gonna also need the change block for changing count by the variable. What I'm gonna do is currently set count to 1 because it always starts with the first position, and then we will change count by 1 throughout the list. And I just want to check if this item will be greater than this max value. Uh, you may think max is currently 0, any number would be greater than max, and that's the point. So we'll be assigning, uh, we'll be first checking if this value is greater than this, and then what we do is we assign max to that value if this condition is true. So for example, say the first number is 89. So if 89 is greater than 0, then we make max 89. So the next number, which is 82, we'll check if 82 is greater than 89. It's false, so we'll do nothing and we'll move on. And we'll keep doing this until we find a number which is the greatest number. And this condition goes inside here. And like I said, if this is true, then we set max to this number. So I'll just remove this, duplicate this, put this here, and put this here. So this along with this is our whole loop to find the greatest number. So we have this, and in the end we can make the sprite say what the greatest number is. I'll be using a join to just combine those two. And that's the max. We'll also make our sprite hide after this so that we don't see it anymore. So that's it. That's the code for max, finding max. Let's see in this list what is the maximum value. I'm just gonna run this and then find the octopus. It's over here. Yeah, got it. Now I click on it. Is there 100 over here? Yeah, there's 100 here. Sorry. So the max value is 100. How do I change this now so that I can find a minimum value as well. So I'm just creating a new variable here. But you can do this with the same variable. So I'll set min to 101, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reverse uh, these two values here. So I'm gonna find if min is greater than this value. See, we're just doing the reverse of what we were doing for max, where now if any number here is less than this number, then we make min that number, and after that we set min to that, and so on, and we'll find the lowest number in the list. So just change this variable again with min, and so I'll just run this again. We have our octopus again, and let's find it. Yeah, got it, and click on it. The smallest number is 13. Let's look in the list if there's any number smaller than 13. No, 13 is the smallest. So go to the second sprite. We'll make the sprite count the number of numbers which are greater than 50, and I'll use the repeat until here to just show you guys how that works as well. So again, when sprite is clicked, I'm using this sprite now. Uh, Here again, I'll just set count to 0 because I'm going to be using count again. I'm making another variable which will track the count of all the numbers that are going to be greater than 50. I'll just name it count 2. Okay, and that should be it. If you want, you guys can recycle these old other variables as well. Uh, if you don't want to create new variables, because sometimes we make a lot of variables. So we'll do the same step here, but instead of repeat loop, we're going to be using the repeat until loop. Either one is fine over here. Repeat until, like I said, is like a safer option. So I'll use the equal to operator, and what I'm going to be checking is if, yeah, sorry, I should have set count to 1. If count will be equal to the length of the list, yeah, simple if, and the condition here will be if item count of list 1 is greater than 50. So even if it's 50, they won't count it because we're only counting numbers which are greater than 50. And I'm just going to be putting count over here. Count 2 by 1. Just make sure you put the variables in correctly. We do this, and in the end we can say where's join. Yeah, okay, got it. The number of numbers greater than 50 is, and we can put in count 2. Another important thing which I just missed out on is setting count 2 to 0. That's pretty important. So let's try testing this one out. I need to find the fish. Where's the fish? Yeah, it's here. Got it. And so the number of numbers which are greater than 50 is 12. We'll just make it hide after the end. Then we have third sprite. So here what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making Mr. Diver delete all values or all numbers between 30 and 70, and we're just going to give out the count of how many numbers we deleted. I'll just use a simple repeat here, and also remember to set count 1 to 1. It's only count. I'll use count to variable here again. So we're going to be using a simple AND operator. For both conditions, less than and greater than. Um, and we're going to be using the same block twice, item count. So if you wanted between 30 and 70, you can just put in 30 and 70. Um, If you want to include 30 and 70 as well, you can make this 29 and 71. That's going to include 30 and 70 as well. It all depends on what you want to do. So now what the next thing we want to do is delete all those numbers. So if we use the delete block, which is over here, that's going to create a small problem because so if I delete, ideally what we would want to do is delete the number in this position from this list. So if I delete number 2 over here, what happens is currently our count is at number 2 because we change it by 1 every time. Um, and what it's going to do is so we 61 becomes a new number 2, but we don't check it anymore because our count goes to number 3. What we do is we delete this. We have to change count by -1 so that when we do this, it doesn't go to the next number, and we can change count 2 by 1 because we deleted something. Yeah, and then in the end, we just say the number 2. So let me see if this works. So yeah, 7 numbers were deleted, and all the numbers now are remaining are not between 29 and 71, which is 30 to 70. So that's good, and it says the number of numbers deleted. So yeah, this should be 25. So that's how this works. There is another way to do this, which is creating another list. I'll be doing that for the next code, so I guess we'll see how that works. So now moving on to our next sprite, which is Mr. Crab. And what we're going to do here is we're going to be duplicating all the values in our list. So if there's 18, we're just going to be making this 18, 18, 98, 98, 21, 21, and so on. So let's see what an easy way for doing this is. So here for this, I'm going to making another list. There's another list over here already made, which you can like just go here and type in list 2, and it makes that. It is this, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding all these numbers in this list, deleting this list, and then one by one adding those numbers here again. So as usual, when the sprite is clicked, we go and then we set our variable count to 1. We are going to be going through this entire list. So repeat and length of list, and then we're going to be adding what is the item in list 1 to list 2. So I'm just going to be selecting list 2 and selecting the item, and I'm going to be using the count variable. Yeah, hope this doesn't look very big because it's going to get bigger. And don't forget to change count by 1 in the end. Okay, then I'm going to be setting count to 1 again because we're going to be using it again. So we have this. I'll delete all of list 1 because we're going to make it empty, and then we're going to be duplicating all the items one by one in list 1. So now I'm going to be starting a new repeat, and this would be for the length of list 2, which is in variables. So make sure you choose the correct variable over here, which is the length of list 2. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be adding an item in list 1, just I'm going to be doing it twice. And I'm just going to be doing the same thing, but just make it list 2. Yes, I clicked on the code, so I have everything empty, and yeah, I'll fix this. And I'm just going to be doing this twice. So put this here. and change count by 1 at the end. So this is gonna go on. I'll just click on start. So you see list 2 is empty and list 1 has 25 numbers. This should have 50 numbers with all duplicates. So let's run this now. So you have 81, 81, 49, 49, 99, 99 and so on. So that's how you can easily duplicate something, and you have duplicate for everything, and you have 50 numbers. You also have this list as full. You can, if you want, you can just delete this at the end, and you can have an empty list again. So that's how you duplicate numbers. You can duplicate depending on any condition. Like if you only have to duplicate numbers between 50 and 60 or something like that, you can put that condition in somewhere and you can do that. So I'll just make the sprite hide at the end. And I also forgot for this driver as well. So that's how you do this one. So now finally the final thing that we do, which is with this fifth sprite, is we're going to be finding or arranging the list in ascending or descending order. I'll show both and how you can do either one of them. Uh, it's going to be similar to how we found the maximum value. We're going to be using this part in this code, and we're also going to be using list 2 over here. I'll just bring this when sprite is clicked over here. I'll also delete list 2. Also, I'll empty this out because we have too many duplicates over here, just to make this easy. So we have an empty list and we have a list like this. Just delete all on list 2. Where is delete all? Yeah. So let's delete all on list 2 anyway, just in case, because we need it to be empty. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting count to 1, and we're going to be setting max to 0. We're going to be doing the repeat of finding the max value. You guys remember that code? We just go to repeat. We just repeat it until the length of the list. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding the max of this list, and then one by one we're going to be putting that in this list, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So just repeating the code for max, put in the if condition where you also need to, I think, put this in here. And I'm going to be showing you guys why I'm doing this. So I think I need 2 repeats. So this is for 1, and then I need a repeat below this. I'm going to be using 2 repeats, which is nested repeating. And I'll show you guys why we do this. So I'm going to be going length of list 1 again. And I'm going to have this if condition inside over here. And like last time, I'm going to be checking if the item in the list is greater than max. I also think I need to set count to 1 as well inside over here. And we are going to be checking this, not this item block. It's this one. Be careful choosing the right blocks. And we're going to be setting max to that block. Which is item count of list. So what this is going to do is in the end of this loop, you're going to be having the max number, And what we're going to do is we're going to be adding that max number to this list. And then we delete that max number from this list. Um, there can be one problem here is if you have two 92s in this list, it's going to be deleting both the 92s and that might be a problem. Then it arranges this list in descending order over here. Um, of only unique values. You only have like 192, which you may not want. So I'll just make another variable which is gonna also keep track of the position of what the max value is. So I'm gonna be using count2 for that over here. I'll just set count2 to count. And in the end, so what I'm going to do is we get the max value at the end of this repeat loop. So I'll just add max to list 2, and I have to delete that position from list 1, which is count 2. And so say if we have 92 on number 4 and we have 92 at number, like say 14, then it will delete the number 14 first because that's what the count will be. And or it's going to be 4 only, who knows. And then you still have 92 at number 14, which will come here twice. So after deleting that number over here, it will find a new max. So say first we found 92, which was the maximum value. We add that to this list, we delete 92. The next maximum value might be 82. So it's going to add 82 over here, and then it's going to keep on adding all the max values, and in the end, you have a list in descending order. You can then delete list 1 and put that list over here, or you can just keep list 2, which is the list in descending order. Either way is fine. I'll just show how you do that. So you delete all of list 1 and then you set count to 1 again, and then you just put a repeat loop. Where's the repeat loop? Oh yeah, it's here. Then you go till the length of list 2 and you just add item of list 2 and list 1. Just make sure you have these variables correctly, all the lists correctly, and just going to be using count again. You guys see we use count again and again in all these lists. Just make sure you set count to 1 everywhere so that there is no error. I didn't change count by 1, which I need to do over here below the if block. So this goes to the next number, and I have to add a change count by 1 here as well, so it doesn't keep on adding the same number. So I'll just like start it again. Both the lists are 0. We have this list, and I'll just run this. So we have numbers in descending orders, as you guys can see, and we have it in this list as well. So you guys see there are 296, and if I didn't have this count variable, then it would have only added 196, and it's not a big problem, but if you need all the numbers, like, then it might be a problem. So yeah, that's descending. If you just set min variable over here instead of max, um, like I said, you can recycle variables again. Same process, and you just reverse this with min, and you put min over here, and I guess in this variable as well you just need to add min. So you have it. I think I made all the changes, should be all the changes. So I should get a reverse of this list now, which is 13, 16, 16, 18. If I just run this now, and I'll just make this 101 just for safety. And let's see. Yep. So I just got a reverse of our first list, which is now this list is in ascending order. So that's how you can make a list go in ascending and descending order. I'll just also hide this sprite at the end. So that's how you can hide them all. And so once all these sprites do their task, you can just hide them. When all the sprites are, you hide all the sprites, you can just have a variable. So I'll just make a variable called the end or just end, and you can just set end to 0 over here. And every time a sprite does something, you can just change end by 1 and check if end is equal to 5. Because you have 5 sprites and should change by 1 5 times, just put the same code in all the variables. And if it does that, you can just have a broadcast variable. Yeah, it's here, sorry. Which is gonna be message, you can just name it end. And you can just have a when I receive end broadcast over here, and when that happens, just go to looks and next backdrop. So in the end, when everything is over, all these sprites should be disappearing. You can just hide all these things as well, and you can just go to the next backdrop. So that's how you can end this whole thing. You guys can try applying this to all the sprites, and in the end, when after hiding all of them and you change end 5 times, it should end your code. So that's it. That's how you can implement lists in Scratch and do various different types of things. So thank you.